Hello, everyone, and welcome to part one of this three-part lesson course about tournament prep. So this first part is going to be going over the prep that should entail before the tournament ever happens. So the most important thing to remember is that you should always be prepping. There should never be a huge gap of time where you're not doing anything. So when you're doing this, there's some things that you want to keep in mind. First of all, you want to think beyond just Google when you're researching the topic or for evidence. Look to other academic search engines such as Google Scholar, etc. So this is not only going to help to expand the amount of evidence that you're going to be able to access, but this is also going to deepen your topic knowledge because it's going to give you access to much higher quality and more scholarly articles. Next, always be cutting cards. I cannot stress this enough. You should probably set a goal for yourself every single week and say, I'm going to cut 10 cards this week, and constantly try to increase the number of cards that you want to cut every single week. You can almost sort of make this like a fun competition. This is going to be able to not only provide you with more evidence, but again, broaden your topic knowledge and sort of just keep you in the debate mindset. Next, you want to keep track of certain things. So first of all, you want to keep track of which evidence has been cut. So a way that you can do this is through having a research tracking spreadsheet. So this is basically an Excel sheet or just a Google sheet that you share with your teammates, yourself, your prep group, whatever your situation may be. And within this sheet, you're going to have a column for different things such as the author name, the date it was published, the article title, the URL, who cut that card on what date, any comments such as did you not reach the entire article, because this is going to just make your whole evidence a lot more effective because it's going to ensure that there's no duplicates of evidence and that you don't spend a long time cutting a 60-page article that somebody else already cut. Next, you want to keep track of specific needs. So a really effective way that you can do this is through having a block spreadsheet. A block spreadsheet is kind of similar to the research tracking spreadsheet, except for this is going to basically have a sheet for the pro arguments and a sheet for the con arguments. And you're going to want to list out every single potential argument, and someone on your team, prep group, whatever, wants to claim one of those blocks that they're going to prepare for the group and to send that out with everybody. That sort of brings me to my next point, which is to share prep. Trust me, success is going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, if you're just doing prep by yourself. It's just not possible. You're going to be able to maximize all of your success if you are sharing prep with other people, because it's just going to give you an access to a wider range of resources. So a way you can make sure that you're sharing prep effectively is through having a Google group. For example, in your Gmail, every time someone cuts an article, they would send that Google Doc out or that Word document out to the whole group. Or you could download your files into a Google Drive, a Dropbox, etc. This just basically ensures that everybody's getting everyone else's prep and that you all have access to each other's work. Next is a card compilation, which is a huge asset. So a card compilation is basically a Word doc, a Google Doc, whatever it might be, of all the cards that anyone on your team, prep group, whatever, has cut throughout the entire topic. So the card compilation is going to be organized by pro, con, and the specific arguments that fall under each of those categories, just to make sure that it stays more organized. But this is just going to be a massive file consisting of all of your evidence in one place. Next, you can backtrack evidence and recut other cards. So some ways that you might want to do this is through looking at different websites such as debate.card, the different PF websites where they have briefs or open evidence. And oftentimes, if you search online, you can find a lot of different back files for public forum debate. So you also want to tap into those resources. Next, let's talk about partnership dynamics, because this is something that you really want to nail going into the tournament and make sure that you have a really cohesive front. So make sure that you and your partner have extremely clear and agreed upon guidelines on how you want to divide the prep. So some ways that I would recommend doing this are that the first speaker primarily focuses on the case writing and the second speaker primarily focuses on the block writing. This just makes sense because the first speaker is the one who reads the cases and the second speaker is the one who reads the blocks within rebuttal. So that's a good way to sort of divide the work and make sure that one person is not carrying all the weight of it. At the same time, though, the first and second speaker constantly want to collaborate on the cases, on what the blocks are. So always make sure that you have each other shared on those documents. You're sending them those documents, whatever it might be, because this is going to make sure that your arguments aren't in any way contradicting each other, that you're aware of your arguments, and that you're both on the same page going into the tournament. Next, before every single topic, I would just recommend making a list of like a to-do list, basically. You can get together with your partner and sort of figure out, okay, what do we want to run on this topic? Let's create an outline for this. What impacts do we want? What blocks do we need? When should we do this? What's our timeline of this? So you always want to do that before every single topic, just to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page at the beginning once you go into all that prep. And next, you want to constantly communicate with your partner. There should never be long periods of time where you're both doing your own thing. You have no idea what the other person's doing. You should always be communicating to keep each other accountable, make sure that you're both still doing the work, and that you're still on the same page about arguments going into the tournament. Likewise, you want to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page when it comes to unique arguments such as framework, weighing strategies, and basically in-round decisions. So what would you prefer to collapse on and stuff like that? Because that's going to save you a lot of prep time where you might be, having a dispute over what to go for. Just make sure that you're on the same page going into it, and trust me, it will make your life a lot easier in the debate round. Next, drills and practice rounds. This is a crucial thing to do before every single tournament. So within drills and practice rounds, the most important thing to do, regardless of what the drill or the substance of the activity, is to just start talking. When you do that, that sort of wakes up your mind, it gets you warmed up, and it gets your voice and brain sort of connected in this specific debate topic. So some drill ideas is that the second speaker can give a rebuttal to case where the first speaker front lines. This is going to be able to help show you what other opponents how other opponents might respond to your case. And it's also going to allow you to sort of practice responding to stock arguments in that manner. Next is a mass cross. So you can do this where the entire team or coaches basically does a crossfire against the first speaker after they read their case, and they just drill them question after question. This is really great because it tests your topic knowledge and it gets you prepared for any questions that might come your way. And if you don't know the answer to something, that's fine. Then you can go and research that and learn it. And then you'll be able to, know the different holes in your case and be able to prepare to answer those. Next, is some analytic rebuttals with no evidence. This is especially true early on in the topic when you might not necessarily have a whole lot of cards cut. You can just do analytic rebuttals. Think of responses off the top of your head and give responses to your case accordingly. And sometimes those logistical responses that you come up with, you can even find evidence to back those up, because a lot of times our intuitive logic is right and it's reasonable, and those are actually the arguments that are going to resonate with judges the most. Next, and really importantly, you want to try to get multiple practice rounds in. I cannot stress how crucial practice rounds are. Even if you do terribly in a practice round, whatever it might be, just being in that round, learning the strategy, learning the arguments, the front lines is so key. And that repetition sort of creates a pathway in your brain where you're able to sort of do those things quicker next time. And you're just that much more prepared for any situation that might happen at the tournament that's thrown at you. So in conclusion, you and your partner want to make sure that you're on the same page before going into the tournament in terms of arguments, blocks, everything. And then you want to practice together accordingly. Get speaking, get starting on those arguments. There's really no time to waste. You should always be preparing. You should never be having long periods of time where you're not thinking about debate. Just always be on the grind and cutting cards and practicing. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed lesson 1. If you want to learn about in-tournament prep or after tournament prep, tune into lessons 2 and 3 of this course.